Thank you very much for this honor. And as I speak, I feel it is a real privilege. It is a privilege as in this forum I represent Albania, a small country that is the embodiment of a great example of the protection of Jews, and I might say also of the fight against violent extremism that is increasingly fueled by hatred, not only against Israel, but the Jewish legacy and civilization. Albania sees Israel and the Jewish civilization as pillars of our Mediterranean coexistence in the course of more than hundreds of years. Without looking far back in the history, one can easily affirm that the Jews who the vicissitudes of life brought ashore in our country turned into a very precious jewel of our own history and culture. From an old coexistence impervious to bigotry under the common roof of the children of Abraham, Albanians have treated the Jewish community as the apple of their eyes, if I may paraphrase an old biblical saying. And as you watched in the film, Albania was a place that was home to Jews before the Second World War, and the country where the Jewish community was legally recognized in its own faith and its own rights to exercise their faith. And Shabbat was, by law, a right guaranteed to every Jew. That was clearly evident also during World War II, what Jews meant for Albanians when ordinary Albanians, ordinary families, put their life in line to protect Jews. And they were Muslims, they were Christians, and they offered them shelter by protecting them even with their own life. It's full of incredible episodes, this period of time in our proud history. But I should bring here one episode of two brothers that were sheltering a Jewish large family, and they gave themselves to the Nazis and ended in a concentration camp in Germany by faking their identity and pretending that they were the Jews that the Nazis were searching for. But it's not only the past, it's also the present that matters a lot to us as a present, that we need to continue and fight every form of anti-Semitism as a threat not simply to Jews or to Israel, but as a threat to our own civilization, to our own values and our own principles upon which our country's future and our common future is being built. Few months ago, we were very proud to inaugurate a memorial dedicated to the remembrance of Holocaust in Tirana. As we speak in Vlora, where a large number of Jews fleeing the Iberian Peninsula settled and prospered between the 15th and 16th century, we are working to build a museum to honor the Jewish community and to honor this history, but also this friendship near the so-called Street of Jews, an old street whose name was changed during communist regime, but whose name was never changed in the life of people, and today has an official name, the Street of Jews. And during this year, Albania had the big responsibility and privilege to chair the OSCE. And our chairmanship has put a strong emphasis on exactly the issue of anti-Semitism, in cooperation with a multitude of stakeholders, including the civil society, in order to try and raise as much as possible the awareness that anti-Semitism is a real threat that goes far beyond what it seems to target. And finally, as was mentioned here, the proposal submitted by the Socialist Party group in Parliament, the Albanian Parliament adopted the resolution of the definition of anti-Semitism developed by the International Holocaust Remembrance Association. There are numerous public and civil society initiatives in Albania that advance the battle against anti-Semitism, be it through education or exchanges of all kinds. But without taking more of your precious time, I would like to emphasize that the biggest problem and the biggest threat we have to face and we have to consider as a permanent thing in our focus about our societies is not just the immediate expression of anti-Semitism in the form of, in its more violent form, but it's the relativism about what happened to the Jewish people. Is a relativism of what happened during this Second World War that is really a source of perpetration of something really bad, in case we will not be united in addressing it and in draining out this source. Finally, I would also profit from your attention to underline the threat coming from the whole activity emerging in the social networks. Let us not forget that the first pogroms and attempts to genocide against the Jews originate from the Middle Ages, fired up by the spread of fake news and of slanders on the synagogue rituals or criminalization of every act by this community. This is where it all originated, and the new form of spreading through this immense digital world should worry us and should really put us all together to think a way out. By no doubt, there is a lot of hope in the digital society, and all encompassing progress for the mankind that is incarnated in this society must not turn into a nightmare, spiraling out of control for any of us. And for that, I am strongly convinced that the big powers, the big democracies, should really act before it is too late. The challenge of combating anti-Semitism in all its most sophisticated forms must be today more than ever a call to our collective consciousness. Thank you very much.